Yes, as you know, the scenes of looting in Gauteng leaving many of us, not the least the clergy, asking what has gone wrong. The incidents of lawlessness come just days before more than 1,000 regional and global leaders are due in Cape Town for the World Economic Forum on Africa. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs has also taken to Twitter. Jeffrey Onyeyama says received sickening and depressing news of continued burning and looting of Nigerian shops and premises in South Africa by mindless criminals with ineffective police protection. Enough is enough. We will take definitive measures. So just some of the reaction coming out of those in and outside of South Africa. Now joining us in the studio is Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, who is the South African Council of Churches, a member of the World Council of Churches. So just that context
alone.
The
Africa Conference of Churches.
So that alone puts you, I'd imagine, in a very difficult position, Bishop, to explain to people what exactly is going on in South Africa.
Terrible. You know, there have been messages going out on social media that call on, actually in the main they came from two sources. One was from the truck drivers, that as of today there should be no trucking and no deliveries. Is protest against the employment of foreign nationals, particularly foreign Africans, in the trucking industry. The other one has been to say, is called by an organization that says, it's a Sonke People's Forum, Hlanganani Makhosi Ohlang, that says, South Africans must block foreign nationals from returning to their homes today and their workplaces as well. Now, we have become aware of these messages, and we are saying that it is actually quite a shame that things have come to this, because actually there has been enough of a messaging, if you like, notice that these kinds of things are going to be developing. There have been, sporadic attacks here and there, and that we really, both the civil society and government, should by now have taken decisive steps to make sure that they deal with the issues.
So let's talk about those decisive steps, Bishop. I know in 2008 people accused us of pontificating, too much academic talk around this issue, whether it is xenophobia or Afrophobia. But I'd imagine that it's very important to locate where the source of the sentiment is, because as you've seen from Nigeria's foreign minister, and I certainly have a lot of friends on the continent whose sentiments, especially in Nigeria, is very, very hostile towards South Africans, because there is that belief that South Africans are deliberately, wantonly attacking foreign nationals, especially Nigerians.
Well, if you look, we hear it from both sides. Remember that foreign nationals are in our congregations. South Africans are in our congregations. They are intermarriages. So this is a grave issue at very, very basic family level. The issue is that because of our shrinking economy, a lot of poor communities with the levels of unemployment at 29-30%, it is an easy target to say, I don't have a job because foreign nationals have the jobs. So that is the narrative that is out there in the main. It also goes with another narrative that says foreign nationals are accessing RDP houses. And now, whether this is true or not, there is no specific, it doesn't matter for many, as long as the narrative is out there, which therefore means that you've got to deal with unemployment and poverty. You've got to deal with a proper engagement with our society on the meaning of being a foreign in another country. They don't make a distinction whether the foreign national is legally here or illegally here. Everyone is believed to be legal, and everyone is believed to be a drug dealer, which is not true. And so there is a lot that needs to happen at the community level.
So how do you curate that kind of conversation from the church's perspective? As you say, you're dealing with very hardened attitudes, hungry mouths to feed, and defiant foreign nationals who are saying, South Africa, remember that we housed some of you during the apartheid era, we shared our homes with you, why can't you do the same?
Not only that, Sepiso, the South African economy has been built on the backs of labor from neighboring countries. There was a time when every year there would be something like, hundreds of Malawians coming to, in fact, Malawians have been here since the late 19th century. Mozambicans likewise. So the development of Johannesburg is the underdevelopment of Maseru. So that is part of the reality. There are people there that grew up with their parents always coming to South Africa. So what we are committing to do as SABC is to engage the various formations. We want to talk to the truck drivers, have set up proper meetings with them to sit down and talk to the truck drivers. And because there is also a retaliatory campaign on the other side of the border that no South African driver is going to cross the border. Where people are going to die as they cross the border. So we need to sit down and talk to the truck drivers, sit down and talk to the foreign national traders as well as their associations. We need to sit down and talk to this Sisonke People's Forum in Hlanganani. We've got their communication details. Those who are setting up a task team that's going to engage immediately together with the law enforcement group, especially because there are reports of police that are watching as this looting is happening. And we want to ask people to please desist from these activities because there is no question about it. This attack of properties and individuals, which is criminal, must be resisted. You cannot have this violence at all. We're calling for calm so that we can have the proper engagement. We agree that something has to be done, but it has to be done in a rational way. So there's agreement
that there is a problem. Government itself has acknowledged the problem, people pointing to porous borders, but government itself has committed to ensuring that legislation that is in place to properly at least, organize foreign nationals living in South Africa so that we don't come up against these kind of skirmishes. But what must government do? Because there's the expectation of what government can do or what it must do.
I don't think it will matter very much to communities who believe every foreign national is bad, because government deals with legality. I think that there has to be serious conversation at community level. These people live in our communities. There has to be, there are 10 to 20 churches in every community, every ward or village. We want to use that as infrastructure together with government, together with other civil society organizations as a matter of urgency. It has to be done. We have to make sure that
Bishop,
we bring
allow me to interrupt you and say, when you say there are 10 to 20 churches in most communities, and unfortunately...
And the foreigners are worshipping there.
Not only are they worshipping them, but they are the builders of such churches, they're the leaders of these churches, and sometimes the finger is also being pointed at those foreign nationals who are pastors, who are priests, to say that they are corrupting vulnerable South Africans. So isn't the church also part of the problem? I
agree, but that's a different problem. That is also getting its own attention. I mean, that the issue has already been done and aired sufficiently by the Sierra Rights Commission.
I'm just saying it in the sense that this is what seems to fuel the fires of communities then in the various townships, suburbs.
It doesn't take away our responsibility. It doesn't take our responsibility in the congregations where we have the capacity to do that. But I'm saying that it should not live only in the local situations. We have to engage at the national level with the various formations that matter. In fact, this coming Wednesday, we're calling at the headquarters of the SABC in our chapel a noontime prayer, which is not, we're talking about active prayer. We're not talking about, that place is called House of Peace. But for us, it is active peace. We stood up for active peace against apartheid. We will stand up now again for active peace.
What do you think you can do at regional level to calm, to temper down flared tempers already?
At regional level?
Yes.
What do you mean regional?
Regional is across the continent.
We even as I sit here, I have communication from from national councils of churches in other countries, because we are part of a fellowship. It's called the Fellowship of Christian Councils in Southern Africa. The general secretaries of those countries are calling to say, what can we do together? Yes, of course, we shall engage for KISA as we work in, but we need to have the conversations here so that the people here know what we're having to deal with in the context of this. But we are saying we're supporting all efforts by civil society organizations and government to stem this. We are calling for calm, to allow for us to engage these issues effectively.
Bishop, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana of the South African Council of Churches on the looting taking place. The Johannesburg CBD, we did mention, is already spread to Pretoria as well. Don't go away. We'll be back after the break.